On 3 Sports, which is the parent company of Inside Texas, our great partners there, and you were on doing an Inside Texas YouTube stream last night.
Yes, sir.
With our buddy Jerry Hamilton. By the way, speaking of Jerry, Jerry's going to join our show at 9:30 to talk Longhorn recruiting and what the uptick has been since the Alabama win, and apparently it's going to be a lot of recruits at the game on Saturday night against Wyoming. Mm-hmm. We'll check in with Jerry. He is the best in the biz. But on 3 Sports, Matt Zenitz every week visits with Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Senior Bowl, that all-star game that they play in Alabama there in January. And Nagy offers insights each week on which college players caught his highly trained eye during the previous weekend's contest.
Okay.
And he said this week one was Texas defensive back Keaton Crawford. Was one of the 9 players who Nagy told Zenitz generated buzz thanks to a strong Week 2 performance in the Texas win. The senior defensive back from Tyler had 5 tackles against Crimson Tide. He also his play on the opening drive where he was the one that was the gunner on the punt.
Yeah.
And made that extremely athletic play to push it back to Keelan Robinson and back them up. That led to the interception by Jalen Milroe. And he said, Zenitz, he said Crawford is a guy who's practiced it, because he also saw him at Texas practice and noticed it too. He said, it got my attention 3 weeks ago when we visited Austin, spoke to his safeties coach, former Texas star player Blake Gideon during his pregame. Thinks Crawford will get drafted and make a roster based on his special teams prowess. He's also a 10-6 100-meter guy.
Yeah, he can run.
So there you go. I mean, a lot of Longhorns made some money as far as the professional ranks go on Saturday night with that performance, because scouts go back to those games, right? You know that, right? And they were there to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And who stands up in those moments, whether it's Byron Murphy and that Texas defensive line. And Ethan Burke and Anthony Hill are already on the radar. And watching Kelvin Banks, Stone, he and Christian Jones. Remember Christian Jones came back for a 6th year to improve his draft stock, because as you said, he's a very raw player. He didn't start playing football until he was in the 10th or 11th grade in high school, because he was a soccer player. Well, now he's playing right tackle, and he did a hell of a job on Dallas Turner the other night. He did
a great job. Yeah. Well, Alabama's got a lot of NFL prospects. They got high-end blue-chip talent all throughout that roster, and that's what scouts really want to see. They want to see you go up against like talent. They want to see you go up against guys that are also considered to be NFL players with a Sunday skill set. Makes their job a whole lot easier in terms of the evaluation, and that's what you saw in that game with Texas going up against Alabama, 2 of the most talented rosters in the country. When you look at blue chip ratio, the percentage of blue chip players, 4- and 5-star prospects on the roster, and Texas, for the first time in a long time, looks like they may be the more talented team than Alabama, and I think we saw that on display on Saturday. And I think now we've gone from Matt Miller of NFL draft scout for ESPN. He said he went on actually Inside Texas and said he thought Texas had 10 draftable prospects on the roster prior to the season starting. Well, and now post-Alabama game, you got people talking about they got more than 10. They got 10 to 16 players potentially that are draftable prospects, which is mind-blowing. You could be talking about breaking some kind of record potentially for Texas.
Well, and that's the development on top of the recruiting, right? Talent acquisition and then development of that talent. And a guy like Keaton Crawford, who came in from Tyler, who was a cornerback, but as you know, when he was in high school, they used him more as a receiver, Rod, because he was so fast. So he came in as a corner, but he was raw at corner, and then they moved him to safety because they wanted more speed there. And he rocks the number 21, Rod.
Yeah, he does.
He's rocking the Rod B.
Yeah.
He's rocking the Rod B.
I respect it, man. But also, Sark likes those guys who convert from corner to safety. He wants his safeties to be able to cover. And Anthony Cook was another one of those examples. Now another with Keaton Crawford. I think that he likes those safeties that he knows can cover on the back end. That way, they don't have to worry about matchup advantages. This is a guy you can trust to cover the slot and trust him to cover a tight end. Even if a wide receiver lines up there with some type of trips or slot receivers, he can line up and not totally be out of his element.
I would also say for all those who said, why do I keep seeing Quinn Ewers in mock drafts and first round pick? Well, I think we saw that Saturday night.
What do you mean?
That arm, that
what
talent.
What are you talking about?
Well, you said
even if he didn't have a great game, he still would have been mocked to be drafted because he's got the raw material.
He does, and it's projectable traits into the NFL the ceiling. And Quinn Ewers certainly showed the other night he's got a very high one. And now Keaton Crawford, another guy to keep an eye on for sure.
That's interesting that they put Keaton Crawford there. I mean, I like that, but that just shows you that secondary. Obviously, you look at Jalen Catalon. He's considered an NFL player. Ryan Watts now, he had a good game. I only remember him being targeted like one time.
Yeah.
in that red zone play where
he's big, man.
He's long and rangy.
He's really a long player.
He is, and that's another guy that's thinking about getting. Jahdae Barron is a guy. I don't know if these guys are all leave. Jahdae Barron's, I think, got more time, but just talking about draftable prospect, that's an NFL player in my opinion. I think Jaron Thompson's got a chance to be
his speed
an NFL
may be a
player.
factor for him.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll be drafted just because safety's not a premium position, so sometimes it drops the draft value. But I think he can make an NFL roster. And that's half the battle. If you're a guy like Jaron Thompson, you may not get drafted to get that initial money, but I think he's got the ability to play on Sundays to make a roster.
Speaking of Jahdae Barron, he was named the East-West Shrine Games Player of the Week. Anthony Hill was named the Sean Alexander Freshman of the Week nationally. Longhorns obviously getting a lot of accolades. And that's going to be the challenge now. How do you turn that page?
Rat poison.
How do you put off the rat poison? And, the simple answer is stop reading it. Get back to work.
Hard to do that when you grew up in social media.
Yeah, I know.
First thing you do is pick up your phone when you get done with practice.
but the other part of it is because you can't ignore it completely. There's no way to expect that of young people, as you just said, Rod. But the story for Coach Sark and this staff is, all right, how did you play that way? What did you do during the week that allowed you to play to that level? That you could put on that performance that now you're getting noticed for and accolades for. Well, then you just have to put in the same week of prep. You can embrace it. You can say, yeah, we're pretty good. But the only way you keep it going is to continue to prepare for Wyoming just like you did Alabama, as far as the energy, the extra film study, the work you put into it, the intensity in which you practice with, because that's going to show up on Saturday. That's what it's going to be Saturday night for sure.